Hey guys, it is Dereklions here, bringing the very first of many college football 25 videos to the channel. If you live under a rock or you haven't seen it yet, EA Sports has finally given us the first look at gameplay for the college football game, and this is incredible. Obviously, this is going to be a 5-minute breakdown where Kirk Herbstreit, if you guys don't know him, ESPN personality, kind of gives us a look at revamped passing, kicking, the score bug, actual gameplay we've been waiting for so long. Dives a little bit deeper into traditions, dives a little bit deeper into abilities, what those look like, how they differ from Madden, things along that sort. So I'm going to go ahead, kind of give you guys a little breakdown of everything we've seen, what we should be excited for, what we should be sort of nervous about, and some of the deeper detail that really wasn't touched upon in the trailer. So here we go. Okay, so the very first thing that we see in the trailer, and they don't waste any time here, is a few things that look similar to Madden. Now, obviously, the HUD is sort of the same. We have underneath a player, for instance, we have the signification that they are a star player. As you can see, the star underneath. You also have like some sort of fatigue bar here. Obviously, we can take a look at the jerseys, the field. Let's just take that in for a second. Now, this game looks excellent. Does it look kind of like Madden? Yeah, of course. I mean, it's on the same engine. But overall, the detail looks fantastic here. We have Oklahoma State, number 18. I love how they put on the scoreboard their rankings. So thank God that stayed, because if it didn't, I would definitely have a huge gripe. That's just not college football if it wasn't. But anyways, when you look at the scoreboard, speaking of, I think it looks okay. Now, I know a lot of people are like, oh, like this is great. This is, a basic college football scoreboard. And that's kind of my gripe with it, honestly, in all full transparency. So first and foremost, as you can see here at the very first graphic, we have Oklahoma State in the very background where it says that. You kind of see like an alternate logo in the background, and on the right you also have like a hint of it. Now, as much as I like the little detail there, I wish there was like something more fun. So, for instance, what I would have done was like, maybe have like the retro logo with the cowboy in the background, or maybe have some trophies that they've recently won. Maybe some numbers of Hall of Fame players that have played for Oklahoma State, things like that. And I think they should have done that for every team. I understand that probably takes time, but that's my first gripe. Now, I do like the classic black and white look. This is very reminiscent of ESPN, for instance, and obviously they couldn't secure the rights to just put ESPN and have their typical scoreboard on there. Obviously, you just have the bare details, where they're at in terms of on the field, what down it is, how much time is on the play clock, small things like that. Now, if this looks familiar, that is because they've actually hired people from the college football NCAA 14 mod, the NCAA revamped, if you guys remember that. They hired them to do the design here, so it looks very similar in that case, and so you can obviously see the similarities there. So you can also probably tell a difference between Madden and College Football 25 in terms of the animations. Now, they are super quick to tease a few of the animations that separate the two games. One thing I definitely wanted to highlight was, obviously, as you guys probably know, there's only 1 foot catches in bounds in college football. Obviously, you need 2 feet in the NFL, and so they weren't afraid to also show some animations there of some players catching with just 1 foot in. It looks really good. It looks super clean. I like that a lot. And now another thing that I kind of have a gripe with here is, as you can see, we have a player jumping over another player, and with that one defensive player knocks over his leg a little bit, so he's not able to get up after he makes that awesome jump. Now, as much as I like this look and the thought behind it, and kind of having fans of the game being like, whoa, like this is a really nice jump, can't wait to see that in the game, there are certain animations in EA's past that I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna wait until the game releases to actually believe this. Now, we have seen that in previous games, as we can remember, Reggie Bush doing those jumps in NCAA. I think it was like 06, 07, and so those have existed in the past. However, I remember like with, I think, Madden 24 with Patrick Mahomes doing like the side pass, things like that, either super rare and few and far in between, or they just haven't been in the game. So that's kind of like a warning. But overall, I do like that look, and I love the physics of like, oh yeah, that defensive man just nipped my leg, and so I'm not able to get back up. I just hit the grass, boom, just like that. And so really like the detail there. Now, the first thing that Kirk Herbstreit breaks down is the wear and tear system here. Essentially, what this is sort of like if you've played the UFC games, for instance. I actually think they probably stole most of this idea from that, where, say, if a quarterback constantly keeps getting hit, like in the ankle or the chest or the head, whatever that might be, that's going to cause significant damage to him. Now, each tackle, as he said, has certain effects. So, a slight bear hug tackle, that won't really do anything, but, say if you're really crashing in and you're constantly hitting seeing those ankles from the quarterback, then that's going to have an effect long term. Now, I kind of like that idea. Say if you're playing online, you don't want to play, Michigan and constantly have your opponent, using Donovan Edwards. And so it kind of does keep it balanced because, if he is and he's constantly getting tackled, he'll be out by the first quarter, which is great. So you kind of have to rely on a several number of players on your team to ensure the health of everybody on the team, which is a really nice touch. However, my concern here is how many hits does it take for a player to get out of the game? So say if, even in the season, do those injuries carry over? Do they carry over game by game? So say if my quarterback gets hit in the head significantly 1 or 2 times each game, how often does he get hurt? How often does he stay in said game? And how many games is he actually going to play in a season? Bit of a fear there, honestly, and we're just going to see how this plays out. Now, my thought is, if you guys have played Madden, you can turn off several of these sort of unique features. So I wouldn't be surprised if you can also turn off wear and tear. But if you like this, then that's great. I think it's a wonderful feature. I think it's a good thought. I just hope that it's realistic and you don't have players say, if you're playing online, you don't have players constantly nailing each other's quarterbacks until all of the quarterbacks are out. And next thing you know, your kicker's the quarterback. You don't want that. So I just hope there's some balance there. But so far, I think it's a wonderful idea. Now, the second thing that is also covered in this trailer is player abilities. It doesn't have a fancy name. There's no X Factor abilities, so it's not like, throw for 3 first downs with your quarterback and have, intense, crazy accuracy, things like that. Nothing of that sort. So here, what we're going to have is some star players. Essentially, what they're saying is they're going to have about 8 abilities at most, where, say, if you're a running back, say if you're a star running back, like I said, Donovan Edwards, you're going to be able to be more elusive. You're going to be able to have certain moves that say, maybe some group 5 running backs won't have, things along that sort that really differentiate the stars between just regular basic, 3-star, 2-star players. Now, it's also revealed that there are 2 different types of abilities. Essentially, there are mental ones, and then there's physical ones. Mental is sort of along the lines of adding more things onto the HUD. For instance, if you are a quarterback, you're actually able to identify blitzers with something like Field General. We also saw something where players are able to, say, if they're a cornerback, make an interception, and the confidence and composure of the other cornerbacks on the team also goes up, making interceptions for them even more likely. Meanwhile, physical abilities have everything to do with on-field traits. So, for instance, say if you are Donovan Edwards, you're going to have more of a juke move, more of a stronger step in your pep, to be honest. And then you're also going to have things, say if you're a quarterback, like Option King, where you're going to have slight accuracy increase on quick pitches. There's also things like Workhorse, which is another physical ability, which is slight protection from the wear and tear system when colliding with other players. So it's very much a physical thing. Now, my nervousness comes from some of the overpowered effects these abilities can have. The trailer also revealed that there's not just these abilities, but each ability actually has a tier to it. So, say if I'm, for instance, Quinn Ewers, I'm going to have a Platinum Field General ability where you can identify blitzers, coverage shells, and disguise coverages pre-snap. That sounds really overpowered, and honestly, a guy like Quinn Ewers probably deserves that, don't get me wrong, but I'm just really curious to see how many people are able to get these overpowered abilities, because I don't want somebody from, no offense to the quarterback at Sam Houston State, I don't even know who it is, but I'm just saying, a guy from a super small school having that ability when maybe he doesn't have the right to, or maybe there's a lot of recruits coming in, for your dynasty where every quarterback has that ability. That's just not realistic. I hope these abilities are few and far in between. But like we saw in the screenshot here with Travis Hunter, where I think he has 8 in total, which is the max number of abilities you can have. 3 for mental, and then I think it's 5 for physical. So it's going to be really interesting to see, and I wonder what kind of effect it's going to have. But it's nothing we haven't seen before. I mean, in NCAA 06, we saw Reggie Bush kind of have those same similar abilities as Donovan Edwards, where he definitely had a strong juke move there, able to block and stop tackles more often, things along that sort. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. I'm just hoping that it's not as overpowered as it was as in, Madden 24. One small detail that definitely has bugged me throughout this whole trailer so far are the player faces. Now, I understand that you can't scan every single player in college football. I mean, that would be thousands, don't get me wrong. But people like, Quinn Ewers, we also saw the quarterback for Clemson and a few others, they definitely don't look like themselves. Now, That's not really a turn off to me. That won't stop me from playing the game. That won't stop me from loving the game. But in terms of like Quinn Ewers, like his face was nowhere near what it looked like. Maybe putting in a little bit more effort would have been something that I would have liked to see. Now I understand, adding that amount of detail to every player is a tough ask. I get that, but when it comes to superstars, it's a little awkward to see something like Quinn Ewers here look like a cartoon rather than at least something similar to what he actually looks like. So kind of strange. Of course, as no surprise here with the last trailer where they showed the traditions of each stadium and how loud it can be and the music that's played. Along with that comes home field advantage. Now, this is not new either. We had that in the old NCAA games. We actually see the meter here. That's from NCAA 06, and they even say directly that they wanted to pay homage to the game. So what sort of effect is this going to have? Well, if you played Madden in recent memory, this is actually going to have that same sort of effect where you're going to have, for instance, say if you want to pass to X, maybe that button atop of the wide receiver who is X is missing. And so there are going to be some moments where maybe you're caught off guard or you're stressed or you're nervous where you're going to be like, oh shoot, like what button is that? So that's going to be missing, say if you're playing at away games like at Penn State or LSU, that's going to play a factor. Another thing that is shown here is also how audibles are going to kind of play out in terms of having home field advantage. So if you are the away team, for instance, we see somebody calling a run play and you see this really squiggly line that keeps moving and you can't tell what pocket your running back is supposed to go through. We also see hot routes shake, and so you don't really know where the wide receiver is going to be. And so it's very much a moment to moment factor. So if you are the away team, you're going to kind of have to just kind of go with whatever audible that you see and hope that you're throwing it to the right person. I do like this a lot. I think if you are the Penn States or the LSU, you're at a huge advantage. And I think you should be, especially if we have tracks like Mo Bamba in the game. You have the crowd super loud. I think it's a great effect to have. Now, is it super realistic? Not necessarily, but I think this is the best way to portray the effects that a loud stadium has on players. Now, the rest of the trailer is definitely a love letter to those who've been waiting for more than 11 years for this game. What we see in terms of like the slightest details is, for instance, the coach adjustments here. We see tempo adjustment, we see deep pass catching, intermediate pass catching, and blocking. Now, a few of those have been in previous EA football games, such as things like, say if my wide receiver wants to focus more on yards after the catch, they can focus on that. Or if they're more focused on securing the ball, they can also do that. So you can make those adjustments as well for them to do that automatically. However, what I love the most in this trailer is the tempo adjustment factor. Now, this is brand new, and there's going to be some new animations because of this. And so, for instance, we see the chew clock, we see no huddle, and we also see turbo. No huddle, we've seen in Madden, of course, that has been in the game for years, where you're just essentially skipping everything entirely between plays, and you're going right to the line. What kind of effect does this have? Well, this will save play clock, but at the same time, the fatigue on those players is going to be much lower. You're more likely to get injured. But it's a risk you're willing to take. Now, another risk people can do is the turbo effect, and the turbo effect is kind of the same, but a little different, where you can still pick your play in that moment. However, when you're getting back to the line, you're going to see players rushing back to the line, which is a brand new animation. I think that's awesome. Just those seconds, as you guys know in college football, can be huge, impactful, can, secure you a touchdown, whatever that might be. But I do like that tempo adjustment. Now, it wouldn't be a sports game without some sort of fancy meter, and we get two of those actually revealed in the trailer. The first one being the Madden-esque passing meter, giving you more power over your throws or accuracy, I guess whatever you want to sort of rely on there. That meter is going to have that super basic, it kind of looks like the thing that we've actually seen in NBA 2K, really basic meter, maybe like the old 2K games. Now, one thing I really am interested in is actually the kicking meter. I think this is wonderful, where I don't know if you guys have played actually like NBA Live, for instance, where you have a line that goes vertically and you have a line that goes horizontally, and you have to center them both. And this is sort of the same thing here as we can see in the trailer. And this is really going to, I guess, enable a difficulty into kicking, because if anybody has played Madden 24 like myself, I feel like kicking has gotten far too easy, and you can really pinpoint your kicks. Now, one element to that that's also going to make it tougher to kick field goals or to obviously kick after a touchdown is going to be the weather. Now, in the blog, they don't mention it in the trailer, but in the blog, they talk about how things like snow and rain can actually impact your kick power and your accuracy. For instance, they say kicking the ball in heavy rain or snow can dramatically alter its trajectory and distance, making obviously field goals and punts a challenging task. Now, this also actually plays an effect too for running backs. This also plays an effect for quarterbacks throwing the ball. We can actually see a difference here. Then they actually say that there is an animation for like wobbly throws whenever it is like heavily raining and your quarterback's trying to throw a Hail Mary. There's actually going to be an animation for that. Now, the last thing I really wanted to touch on that I thought was important was actually something exclusive to only the Campus Huddle blog. They do reveal that there are new celebrations and that there actually is a victory formation. So what does this mean for the game? Well, for instance, in the blog, they actually announced that this year you now have the choice from a variety of 20 different touchdown celebrations, a huge difference from Madden, first and foremost, compared to like the 4 you got there. You actually also have 4 interception celebrations and 4 first down celebrations in the game. And you can do this by doing a combination of using the right stick with either the left bumper or the left trigger. So it sounds pretty simple, and I think everybody's going to be able to pull all of these off. And this also includes, they do reveal this, the iconic Heisman pose. So it's going to be really cool, like see if you have a player in the running for the Heisman to score a crazy touchdown and then pull off that pose. That feeling is going to be incredible. And then in terms of victory formation, it is a really nice feature in terms of saving time. As you guys probably know, if you're up by 30, 40, even 60 points with say like 2 minutes left, this is what they write in the blog as the victory formation, where this year, as soon as the game is mathematically over, just take a knee. Players will come onto the field, and we will simulate the following kneel downs. Not only does this feel like Saturday, but it can also get you back into your next game, wherever that might be. So it's a really cool feature that will save us tons of time. I really like that thought. Now, I really hope, say if it is like an upset, so say if I'm, unranked and I'm beating the number 1 team in the country, I'm hoping that not only players come onto the field, but maybe fans. Hopefully they reveal that in a future blog. Probably not, but that's just wishful thinking. So overall, honestly, I really did like the gameplay trailer. Now, I'm not too shocked. I'm not too like, whoa, like this is incredible. I have to watch it 15 times over. It does remind me a good bit of Madden in terms of graphics. I think the teaser trailer kind of got my hopes up a little bit too much, to be completely honest. That's just my fault. The game overall looks fantastic. I love the details put into not just the on-field play, but also the playbooks for every single team in the game. That's just incredible. I'm really curious as to how, say, if I build a team in Team Builder, how much of their playbooks can I build out? How much can I customize? I'm really curious there. Or if I just honestly take a playbook from an existing school. So that's definitely going to be something I think about. But in the meantime, I'm really excited to see the Dynasty deep dive, Road to Glory deep dive, things like that. And they said that those will be coming in the coming days. So when that does come, I will obviously drop another video on those. But for the meantime, let's just keep watching this and hopefully enjoy it and keep playing NCAA 14. So guys, thank you so much for watching. This is Dereklions here. Peace and out. Have a good day.